Yep. Good evening, everyone. So, yesterday we learnt about form and validations. So, we discussed about form and validations, how to design a form and collect data from form. We learnt by using a library called Formic. We are using Formic library and we learnt one more point. Formic library have use Formic hook and we learnt about how to use validation. Validation, how to define, I showed you. So using the form in our real project you are going to do in next level. What we learnt is what is form, how to design a form and how to collect data from the form. While collecting the data, how to validate the form. Check whether data is correct or not, verifying the details. Now for validation, what we done yesterday is we written our own validation, custom validations, and by using those validations, we design. For example, see, so we designed validations. This is our project. And in this validation, we written by using a validation function. So we return manually all the validation for name, age, city, gender, everything. Validations are manually written through logic. We don't need to write logic every time. If validations are simple, ready-made validation related libraries are also present. We can use those libraries and we can validate. Today we will see how to do that. I will remove all this validate user function. You observe yesterday already I showed you. So this is using validation. You can see when I click register, it is verifying the details. You entered some string, it says must be number. You are not selecting a city, then it says select a city. All these validations are inbuilt available. We return it. Let's remove these validation. I will delete this complete validation function. Actually, this function we return manually. And there is no validate user function. There is no validation defined here. Okay. Now we have the form without any validation. Errors also not there. Na? Error object is empty. It is not having anything. Let's check this now. I am clicking on register. You can see in the console, when I click on register, it is submitting all empty. So validations are removed. We are not using any validation. Let's see, is there any another way for validation? What is another validation technique is React have ready-made validation service. So we will learn about a library called Yup. Yup library for validation. We have a library called Yup, which is used for validation. Formic is for handling the form, and yup is for handling the validation for the form. What is this yup library specialty is? Several HTML validations are built in available, like required, min length, max length, pattern. All such validations are ready-made available. Just you have to use them. You need to customize the messages and attach them to the fields. You don't need to write much logic manually. Manually, you don't need to write the logic. Let's see how. So, what is this library is? Yup is a validation library, validation services library. It is a validation services library. It is a validation services library. What is the specialty? Validation service means it comprises of predefined validation functions. It comprises of predefined validation functions. You can customize and implement according to the requirements. You can customize and implement according to the requirements. So, but what is the concept? Yesterday I told you that everyone don't have a solution for every problem. Majority what they provide we use. If they don't have any facility, then we have to manually add, or we have to use another library combination. So, yup provides ready-made services. Let's see how to use it. First, so install yup library for project. So you have to run the command npm install yup and save. You have to install yup library for project. And this yup library provides lot of validation services. There are two techniques. One by one, you import only what you need, or you import all of them and use them. That means you can import only the required validation service or all services from library. You can import only the required one, or you can import all of them. How you can import only what you need? For example, you have import. I want required. I want some min, max. Like that, you can import only what you want from the library called yup. You have to import from the library yup. This is importing only what you need. How to import all? You learnt already module system, I told you. Import star as you need a alias name. Yup is the alias name. From which library? Yup. What is this technique is? This or this? You can use any. What is the second technique? It imports all validation services for you, and you can access them with reference of which keyword? Yup. Yup is the alias name. By using that alias name, you can access. So you have to import the library. After importing the library, how to write validation is very simple. Actually, validation validation is defined validation is defined as a schema. Validation is defined as a schema by using yup dot object by using yup object. Validation is defined as a schema using yup object. That means generally how we write is yup dot object. It will have some properties. What are the properties here? We have to define field name, and for field name you have to mention yup dot data type, and after that you have to chain the services. That means required. So and message like min, max, all these we can attach to that, we can add them. For every field, you need to build the schema like this. That means yup uses a validation schema. Schema means structure. Structure contain field name and its validations. So we have to define the field name and validation. Let's see how it works. Now, how to display these error messages, where to attach the schema. Generally, this is written where you have to configure the schema by using formic validation schema. Formic have validation schema. By using formic validation schema, you have to configure the schema using formic validation schema. That means where to write this schema is, we have a constant formic. Yesterday you saw it uses use formic. In that use formic, we will have initial values, that is form data. Na? After that, we use validation schema. Here we have to write yup dot object, and here you need to build the schema, the validation schema. And after that, you know, it will have on submit. It will collect the values and submit the values. This is the location where we write the validation schema. Previously, we were using validation. Now we are using validation schema. What is difference? Validation is for writing our own validation function. We write our own validations and we attach them by using validation. If you are using validation from ready-made functions, then we have to define using schema. Is it possible to use both custom validations and default validations? Yes. Yes, you can write. Because already I told you that everything is not possible by using default. We can write both validation and schema. So after this, How to display the errors? Errors is same concept. All error messages, all error messages are defined using formic.errors object. They are defined by using formic.errors object. So how to access individually errors and display them? Formic.errors.field name. You have to mention the field name. To get the error message and to display the message, we have to use this. So this is formic validation how to do. Let's see the process. So what is advantage? It will reduce lot of programming effort. You don't need to write lot of functions already are there, use it. Let's see. I will go to the project now. Here we will install the library npm install yup and save. It is installed. I want to use here. Then we have to import asterisk as what? Yup. From which library? Yup. That's it. Now go to formic validation. Here we have to write validation schema. We have validation and we have validation schema. Here validation schema uses yup. Yup dot which one? Object. Yup object contains specification structure. In the structure you have field name, username. And first important, recently, just few months back and previous version of yup library, the field data type is not mandatory. You can ignore that. Because it is JavaScript, it is not mandatory. But now they made it mandatory. Because now React.js and its libraries are built by using a library called React Fiber. Current React 19 is completely built by using React Fiber, which is designed using TypeScript as language. That means React.js is designed by using a language called TypeScript. And there it is strongly typed. TypeScript is strongly typed. You will later learn how to use TypeScript. I will show you. So that is the reason from latest version of yup, for every field data type specification is compulsory. You have to mention, is it a string or a number or a boolean? You have to tell how. So you need to define yup dot what type string. And after that, you can chain all the properties like what it needs required. Just you can attach like this. For required, some message is already present. It will pick up that message and display. But we don't want that. We want our own message. Then you can write the message here. So message is optional. If you don't write the message, default message will come. If you write the message, it will overwrite. And what is that username? Required. Okay. Next, I want here as min. So min, how many characters? Minimum number of characters, 4. And if minimum is not satisfied, then put a message name to short. Am I right? We can put all the validations by adding all the functions with the dot. This is called, you learned in JavaScript, this is called function chaining. This is called function chaining in JavaScript. We can attach a function to another function. There is no order. For chain, there is no order. So you can put min first, required later, anything doesn't matter. So this is enough for this field. Let's go to the second field. What is another field? Age. And you have yup dot what type? Number. It is also required. So it is required. I will give a message is required. So we have a min is 15. So age minimum 15, and suppose max is some 30. So is max 30. Like this, we put some messages. For example, you want to validate like password, mobile, you want to put some regular expression. We don't have any such field. Let's add a field like, okay, I will put a field extra like mobile, and input type is text. Okay, and the name is what? Mobile. And errors will come from mobile. Okay, and here we need to add one more field in our details. This is mobile. It's a string type. Then we want to add some validation for mobile. Then see what we do. Here we are using mobile. And what is the validation? Yup dot what type string? It is required. That means mobile required. And it have matches. Matches is used with regular expression. And you know regular expression is written in 2/. Am I right? Message is invalid mobile. And I give +91, 10 digits are required, something. And what is the pattern here? /+91/D and 10 digits. That's the regular expression. You already learned how to write regular expression. I showed you. And you see now, this is the validation ready. Previously, we have to write logic for this. Now we have ready-made, just use them. And you see now here, we will refresh this. Okay. And I click on this register button, then it will verify all of them. The same validation is working. I'm entering the details and it says name too short. Now it is fine. I am entering this. You see age must be a number. I am giving a different type. For that, I haven't given message now. I said data type number, but I haven't given any message. So automatic message will come. You can put your own message. Now I entered some 38. Then it says max 30 only. It is verifying min and max. Okay. Then one more, max 30 means 28. Fine. Mobile is required. I am entering. It is invalid mobile. Still it is invalid mobile because it should start with +91. That's now I am selecting the city, I am choosing, and I click register. It should submit the data. If anything is invalid, it will not submit. If all are valid, then it will submit. Of course, we cannot use any service for drop down and gender. For that, we need to write manual. Already yesterday we learned how to write manual. If value is -1, right? So we don't have any ready-made validation for drop downs or checkboxes, radios. We have to manually write everything. So this is one simple concept of validation. I hope you understood the simple concept. Means why React is better with library. Remember, if library is not there, in React way, validation is very lengthy again. By using the third parties, we can make it simple, right? This is one concept, how we can define validation. I will copy this example. In this example, we are designing form with yup as validation service. So I will give here form demo.jsx. Let me copy this example. This example is related to here we are using yup as validation. So two options we learned. We can write our own validation and we can use ready-made validation service. Now here some more techniques are there. What are those techniques is actually we need to learn here validation state. We need to understand validation state. Validation state. Generally, whenever you are writing validation in web applications, Angular, React, JavaScript, everywhere, validation is categorized into two phases: form state validation, input state validation. We have two validation states: input state validation and form state validation. Input state validation means every field is individually verified. That means we will verify whether text box username is valid, password is valid, age is valid individually. Form state means all are valid again. After individually validating, entire form is validated again. Because if form is completely perfect without any errors, then we have to submit the form. That means first every field is verified. After that, entire form is verified. If you observe several websites, they will show you some websites. What they do is at the end of the form, they will give a lengthy form. For example, you are filling a form for passport, visa, or any government application form. They will give page by page 10-20 fields you have to fill step by step. And finally, at the end of the form, they will show a summary saying that your form cannot be submitted. Please check these errors. Have you seen the error summary now? That means individually while typing for every field error is shown. At the end of the form, they will show a summary saying that this field is wrong, this field is wrong, please correct all these. That means the summary can be accessed and displayed by using a state called form state. We have input state and we have form state. How they are used, I will show you. We'll see the point. Currently, what you have seen is form state or input state. It is input state, not form state. Every field is individually verified now. We are not collecting all the errors and displaying at one place. That also we can do. We will see how to do that. Because in interviews, usually they ask, I know that individually messages will come, but I don't want to show messages individually. I want all messages in one place. You know what they will do? Wherever the field is wrong, they will put a red star mark. And finally, the details will be displayed at some location. Such forms also required sometimes. First, we will see how to handle them. So what is validation state? So every form comprises of two levels of validation. Every form comprises of two levels of validation. Input state and form state. Input state is the process of verifying. Input state is the process of verifying every field individually. Input state is the process of verifying every field individually. Form state is the process of verifying all fields simultaneously at the same time. Form state is the process of verifying all fields simultaneously at the same time. And what is the specialty is Formic provides both input and form state validation. Formic provides both input and form state validation. So input state validation you have seen already. We write our own validations and all. Form state validation, I will tell you how it works. See, it's very simple actually. Suppose you see, I click register button and you see it shows me some errors. That means your form is still having some problems. Then why you have enabled register button again? That is not good. Na? That means if form is having errors, why you are allowing to submit? That's not good. That means what we have to do, if all fields are valid, then enable this register. Otherwise, just disable. Otherwise, accidentally, they may be pushing the button again and again. You will see that users will submit even if it is not necessary. Then server burden increases because every time we post, it should verify. Then what is the best way is don't allow to submit until or unless it is valid. That's good. For example, this is okay. This is register form. Suppose we are designing some edit form. You see in your websites after login, you will have account details. You can edit your account details. When you open the edit form, they will allow you to edit the name, edit the date of birth or some details. You can modify them. There you will find a button called, here I will add one more button just roughly. There you can find a button called save. So I will give just simply some gap. You can find a button called save. And what is the nature of this save button is don't show the save button until or unless they do some modification. You know, lengthy forms, you have seen passport, visa like forms. They will give page by page form filling. That means only one form, but you have to fill 3-4 pages. And in every page, if you observe, they auto save the data, or sometimes they give a save button so that next time you can continue from there. Have you observed? But the save button, when it should work, when I have done some modification, then only save button should work. Otherwise, it should not. That means it depends on whether the form is modified or not. Which field modified? Any of the field is modified, then save button should work. So we have to verify all fields at a time. Right? This is called form state. And for that, what solution Formic people are having? Form state validation is very important. If you have to do this in JavaScript, very difficult. I will guarantee that you never tried it. Have you ever done this? No. But it is regular requirement in a form. You never done very basic thing which is required for every form. When we design a form, how you design a form to submit again and again without proper data? That means you just learned how to design a form, write some logic. That's it. Your forms are not still with good interface. They are not having good validations. That means you never done such validation. If you have done, there is lengthy process for that. Collect every field, verify every field is valid or not. It's a very tough job actually in JavaScript. But now in React, it is simple. Why? Because Formic have ready-made functions for that. What is that? See, what are the ready-made functions it is having? So Formic have Formic has predefined form state services. Form state services has predefined form state services. Like we have ready-made form state services like we have touched, that is a service. We have a form state service touched. Touched is a service which returns true if any field is modified. That means if any field, actually, if any field is touched means it got focused, not modified, just focus. You click inside and you came out, then it is called touch. If you modified, then it is called dirty. If you have made some changes, then it is called dirty. So we have touched and we have dirty. Touched indicates that you went there, but you haven't done anything. Sometimes what you do, you click inside and you don't do anything and go out. So generally what happens is you click inside and came out, it will show warning saying that you can't leave this empty. You have learned events like focus and blur, right? We can manage that. Initially, you see here, what is the point about dirty? Dirty means you click inside and came out. That is called touch. You click inside and type something, then it is called dirty. So see, what is the logic for us? The logic is this save button, your wish. You want to hide or you want to disable. If you want to disable, just use the word disabled. This disabled will get a logic dynamically. Disabled is a boolean, it will take true or false. What is the condition? Condition is if ternary operator we are using. If formic dot, we have formic na. If formic dot dirty, you see there is a dirty property. We have dirty, we have like touched. We can verify touched. We have dirty, we have like, so is valid. You have like is valid. As of now, we need what? Dirty. That means if it is dirty, dirty means if it is modified. If it is modified, then disabled must be false, na? Am I right? Disabled must be false. Otherwise, disabled must be true. That means this button must be disabled true if it is not modified. If it is modified, dirty means modified. Dirty will return true if it is modified. Touched will return true if it is touched. Now see what happens here. You will see that save button is not working. It is disabled now. Now I click inside and click outside. It will not work because that is not dirty, that is touched now. We want dirty, then what we do, click inside and type something, then automatically save button will work now. Right? That means you can enable only when any modification happen. You will see in almost every form where they give edit option, they will give a save button, it will not work. Save button will work only when you do some modification. Sometimes if anybody asked you like, no, I don't want to disable, I want to hide it. That means don't show this button. Show this button only when it is dirty. Then how you will do? How you can dynamically show and hide? We can use our CSS classes of Bootstrap. Bootstrap have CSS. Bootstrap class is dnone, dblock, right? We are having styles also we can use. For example, see, I will remove this and here I am writing a class name. Okay, already the class name above I will put a class name called mx2. Here class will come dynamically. And how do you apply the class? It depends on condition. What is the condition? Formic dot what? Dirty. If formic is dirty, then what to do? Question mark. If it is modified, then what we have to do? D inline I will give. D inline means display inline. Otherwise, what it is? D none. Actually, these are bootstrap classes to show and hide. We can hide any element using D none, which is display none, and D inline is in the same line. And you see now, here it is not showing save button. And when I click inside and I type something, then save button will come. That means we can show hide or we can disable enable. This is very important in validation. You cannot allow to submit, you cannot allow to save until or unless some modification done. Now one more point. Now tell me how to enable register only when it is valid. How to enable register only when it is valid. So what we have to do for this register button, we have to use what? Disabled. Disabled depends on a condition. What is that condition? Formic dot what is valid. If it is valid, if form is valid, means all the fields are valid. Then what to do? Disabled is false, na? Otherwise, disabled is true. And you will see that initially the form is there, register is there. Now what you have done? So you done some modification in it, and you will see that register is disabled now. And you entered the proper data, everything is properly entered, +91, everything is properly entered. Now the register button will work. If any problem is there, it will not work. This is very important in validation, not just verifying one field, all the fields also verify. That is done by using a form state. We have touched, we have dirty, another one we are having is valid, another one we have errors. Actually, errors will return all errors. All the summary of errors are present in which location? Errors. So, what is the meaning of touched? So here I will give few points. Touched returns, true. If any form field get focus, touch returns true if any form field get focus. That means you click inside, means it is touched. When you click inside, automatically it gets focus. And dirty returns true if any form field value is modified. Dirty returns true if any form field value is modified. Or if it is empty when you input. When user inputs, it becomes that is valid, returns true if all form fields are valid. Returns true if all form fields are valid. True is a boolean. True is a boolean type. Another important errors. Errors returns an object that comprises of all fields and their error messages. All fields and their error messages are present in errors. All fields and their error messages are present in errors. Right. And here I will give a simple syntax for that. Suppose we have a button disabled that depends on formic dot is valid. False, otherwise true. Like this we can put some this is register. Some disabled formic dot dirty true or false. That depends. Your wish, you can give anything. Just roughly I'm giving. Huh? Just rough syntax I given. Logic can be anything you want. Best logic is valid, true. Disabled is false. That is the correct one. Now, one more point is how to display the summary of all errors in one place. How we can show all the errors in one place. Actually, see, if we want to display errors all in one place, then better you first remove from everywhere. Huh? Here, everywhere errors are there individually, they remove them. Because I want to show in one place there. Then what you can do here, let's keep this in the form. I'll keep a heading. I'll just keep a div, a heading. So please check the following errors in form. Just roughly I given it. Please check the following errors in form. That's the message we are having. And actually, roughly I given, and this should display the list of all errors below. In an unordered list, it should display. I will put here text danger. Okay. All the errors, how you will display here now. What to do? You saw that formic dot errors will return all fields and their error messages. That means it is an object which returns all fields and error messages. You want to display only messages, then you can use, actually, you learned object dot object dot keys method na, it will return all the fields. But you have object dot values, it will return all the values. Object dot keys will return all the field names. Object dot values will return all the messages. Object dot values. So which object? Formic dot errors. From that object, it will collect all the values. And it is a map. We have to read every error. And for every error, we need to create one list item. This list item should have a key, that is error, and it should have a value. And what is it? Error. And you can see the list of all errors will come there. Currently, we are having a error in mobile now. Suppose age error is there. It will show that age error also. Age is required, mobile is there. All errors summary will be displayed in one place. And I entered everything properly. I entered everything properly. Now it is okay. Now I don't want this to display. You can do that. That area should come only when there are some errors. Na? Tell me what to do. This area should display only when there are some errors. Then what to do? Here you have to use dynamically, you have to put a class name, and that is class dynamically come by using, what is it? Formic dot what is valid. If formic is valid, then what to do? We have to display none. Otherwise, we need to display block, not inline, block below, right? And you can add one more here. You can put a binding expression. Actually, multiple classes if you want to apply. I will put a style and I will put color as what? Red. And you can see now the errors are not there. And when there is a problem and I click register, all the error messages will come below. Right? So if we are filling all the fields correctly, and defining them, then it will hide them. We can show and hide toggle according to the requirement. This is very important for validation summary, how you can get the summary. So one more important point is actually formic errors. Object. Formic errors object is used to summarize, the form errors. It is used to summarize the form errors. It is used to summarize the form errors. So syntactically, you can get object dot values formic dot errors. So what it do? So returns all error messages. It returns all error messages. Error messages array. It's an array of all error messages. So in the example, I'm using it. So we can try that. Okay, now one more point is that all combination we have to learn here. Another point is, see, when you are designing a form, suppose I clicked inside the form field and I click outside, then you see it's not showing any error. Why? Because currently errors are only on change. Because which event you return on change na? When a value is typed, then only it is verifying. No, we want to verify whenever user clicks and don't enter anything and come out, we have to show him a warning. That means on blur also. Blur na? Blur means loses focus and focus means get the focus. On blur also we have to verify. So Formic have so many events. So one more thing. Formic Formic provides various events for verifying the form data. Formic provides various events for verifying the form data. Like what? On change, on blur, and on submit, like this. So verifying Formic provides various events. Actually, for these events, Formic Formic has predefined functions for validation events. They have functions for validation events like handle change, like handle blur, like handle submit. They have these events also. Events and relative functions are ready-made. On click, on change, on blur, on submit, these are general events. Already we know these are synthetic events. For them, ready-made functions are there. We used only on change function. We can use on blur also. If I use on blur, then it will verify whether the field valid or not when it loses the focus. Currently, it is verifying only on change and on submit. On submit also it is verifying, on change also verifying. You see now, I click inside and click outside. It's not verifying. I am typing something, it is verifying. But I want to verify on blur also, I need to verify. So in the Formic here for the fields, you can add that event also on blur. On blur is equal to Formic dot what? Handle blur. We can use it. Then if you attach them, then it will verify on two situations. You click inside and click outside, then it will verify. But remember, these are all form state events. That means they will verify all the fields. How to verify only specific field? Next level, you will see that. It should not verify all of them now. I click inside a field and click outside only, that should verify. That you will see in the next point. So technically here, when I click inside and outside, it is verifying. So if you want validation to occur on blur, on change, on submit, you have to write all of them. So for every element, you can write on blur as well as on change. So for this, they have a shortcut. Shortcut is nothing but they say that if you want validation to happen on every event, then no need to write like this lengthy. We have a shortcut for you. And what is that shortcut is, you don't need to write on blur, on change, both of them. I will remove now. Okay, obviously, if you remove them, then you will see that the validation will not fire up when I click outside. Validation, click on register, it is verifying here. Why? Because it is on submit na? On submit. But when I click here, I'm typing, it's not verifying because on change is not there, on blur is not there. It is verifying only on submit. Now you want to attach all events for every element is lengthy. Then they have a shortcut for this. You can put a dynamic expression. We can use dot dot dot. You know, this is a spread operator na? right? We can use a formic. Formic have a method called get field properties. Get field properties. Which field? Mention the field name. Field name is what? Username. That means in Formic, for this username field, whatever events are there, all events will spread here. On change, on blur, everything will spread here. That means it's not necessary to write individually events. You can spread those events. Means all events will work now. Now you will see here, I'm not writing on change. You see, I'm not writing any on change, on blur. I click inside and it is working. And I click inside and I am typing, it is working without writing on change event. This is also one question in interviews they ask. They show you a screen, they say that there is no on change, but how it is verifying? Because two-way binding requires an on change event. There is no on change, how it is verifying? Because it may be using a spread operator. But which one is best? This spread operator is good if you want validation to happen on every stage. We don't want like that. Sometimes we don't want to verify on blur. We want to verify only on change. Then we cannot use this. If you use this unnecessarily, it will verify everyone. Every event it will verify. We don't want that. Then better you write only what you want. If you want to verify on every event, you can use it. So what is the technique here? So here 2 points are there. You can configure all event handlers individually. You can configure all event handlers individually. Input type is text. Name is username. On change is equal to formic dot handle change. On blur is equal to formic dot handle blur, like this. You can configure all event handlers using a spread approach, using a spread operator. You can configure all event handlers using a spread operator. So how you do? Input type is text. Name is username. Formic dot get field props. And the field is username. Just for clarity, I'm giving like this. Formic dot get field properties and the field name. It will get all the properties of it and it will spread. So we have input state validation, form state validation, and how do we configure? But the problem, there is more simple technique. For designing the form, handling the form, we have more simple technique. What is problem here is Can you tell me what is that formic I'm using everywhere? What is this formic I'm using everywhere? I'm using everywhere this formic, na? What is it? So what is the formic we are using everywhere? That is the reference of a hook called use formic. Am I right? We have a hook called use formic. For that use formic hook, we have a reference. That's what we created now. What is this formic dot handle submit formic dot get field properties and all? That is the name of this now. That means it is the reference of a hook. And usually hook is a function. What is the major drawback problem here is these hooks are not allowed in class components. Hooks are not allowed in class components. So the old versions of React.js projects which uses classes for components, they cannot use this at all. They cannot use this at all. There is no use. That means hooks are not allowed in classes. That means you have to try something which is not designed using hooks. Why they are not allowed in classes, you are going to learn when we learn class. Currently, we are working with which type of component function. And hooks are not use state, use effects also will not work. If you are dealing with any old project, there you will not find use state, use effects, use reference, all these will not be there. Then what to do there, I will show you in the next level when we learn class components. So what is problem in this formic hook? You cannot use in a class component. Now, if you are using class component, there is more simple way. That means you can design a form in simple way and you can validate the form in simple way. We can collect the data from the form in a simple way. For that, formic have ready-made components. Ready-made components are present. You can use them and you can design. Let's see the point here. First, I will copy this. And this is an example for complete validation. This is the example for complete validation, how to handle the form. Now, what is the solution if hook form is not supported? That means one simple note we will give here. Hooks are not allowed in class components. Hooks are not allowed in class components. So you cannot use formic hook for designing and validating a form. You cannot use formic hook for designing and validating a form. So what is the solution is formic provides predefined components. Predefined components which allow to design and validate form without hooks. We can design and validate the form without hooks. And what are the components it is having is formic form. We have a field and error message. These are ready-made components. By using these components, we can easily design a form. And we can set up the validation for the form. And you don't need any hooks for this. So these are good. Even in function components also you can try. But what is problem in them is They will not allow to modify each and every design that you want. They have ready-made. Component means ready-made. Na? Already they are having everything. You just customize. If you want to design your own way, then you write the above approach. Now you want to use ready-made, then better you can go with this. Now how to use this, we will see tomorrow. Right? In tomorrow's session, we will learn how to use these components. Then you will feel that you will feel like it is more simple than what you have learned. That means it's a more simple way of validating. But for tomorrow, I will give you one task. You have to get prepared with that and come tomorrow. And what is the task for you is, I am explaining one library now. There is another library called React Hook Form. React Hook Form is a library. What is your job is visit their official website. We have a website, React Hook Form. This is the official website, React Hook Form. You visit this official website, right? And what you have to do is know about this library. Tomorrow I will ask you some questions. You have to tell me what is this library, how it works. Understood? That means you should able to learn one library by yourself. Right? I will show you how to learn by ourselves. I will show you the correct process, how to explore. But first you try this. I will check first how much you understood by yourself. After that, I will explain. If you are having any misunderstanding, I will explain. Generally, everywhere we have to learn the technology like this. If we are trying to discuss a topic in the next session, you should first get prepared with the topic and come. That's how generally corporate level training usually happens. But here you people have a different mindset, right? Generally, React.js is a 2-day session for real-time developers. Earlier, few years back, means before COVID, when we used to conduct React sessions, Angular sessions, do you know 2 days only React.js? Weekend sessions we used to have React 2 days. That means Saturday, Sunday, weekend sessions will happen. 5 hours Saturday, 5 hours Sunday, React.js complete. That means for a software developer to learn a technology like React, it just only 10 hours time. But you are learning 2 months. The point here is you must able to explore several concepts by yourself. So first what you do, visit this website, check what it is, and tomorrow I will ask you some questions. Let's see how much you can answer. And I will explain how to learn these libraries and I will show you how to use it. This is another library for form. One is Formic, another famous one is Hook Form. Tomorrow we'll do that. Okay, get prepared with that. We'll see tomorrow. Okay.